May I have your attention, please? How was it? Good afternoon. Like this? No? Okay, actually now it's time for our academic panel. I would like to invite our speakers to the stage, please. And I also would like to thank all of them again for being us with today. It's really a great pleasure to have these distinguished scholars and administrators with us. Before actually leaving the floor to our panelists, I just would like to give some highlights about Turkish higher education. Actually, the supreme authority for the regulation of the higher education in Turkey is the Higher Education Council in Turkey. This council established in 1981 after the military coup happened in 1980. And the founder and the first president of this council was İhsan Doğramacı. Professor Doğramacı was known actually from the other scholars, as a scholar, as a professor, and everybody was calling him the professor of the professors. And recently actually he passed away, and he did actually great contribution to the Turkish higher education. He established Levy University and University in Ankara. So that was actually sad news came in 3 or 4 months ago in Turkey. And actually the council in 1980 took very important roles in order to stabilize the universities. The universities was a little bit actually, there was some unstable situations among different political views. People was just actually had problems. They weren't agreeing on anything. And Higher Education Council was very strict about the rules. They just actually became a very autocratic institution. And since 1981 to today, 2010, we still have some discussion about the role and power of the Higher Education Council in Turkey. We are not actually going too much details about the council, about the Turkish higher education, but the comparative analysis between Turkey and United States, how actually, what kind of collaboration we have and we will have in the future, personal experiences, institutional experiences. We will have a chance to listen actually from our distinguished scholars. So I will actually leave the floor to Dr. Levy. Dr. Levy has a time difficulty, so he will actually just present he will have his talk for 10 minutes. After his talk, he will have 5 minutes question and answer session. So please, just if you have any question, let him know, and we will be actually very happy to get knowledge from his actually invaluable experiences. And Dr. Levy actually is a main appointment in the Department of Education Administration here in the School of Education. He also sits actually in many different programs also. So I am delighted to introduce him to you. Dr. Levy.
Thank you very much. I feel bad that I'm the fellow who interrupts the dinner. I'd like to say that I may not look like it or sound like it by name to you, but I claim part Turkish identity. When my grandparents came over on the shipmast, their names were listed, and alongside the names, the country Turkey. And what it was that my family is of Jewish-Greek origin, probably 2,000 years in the same place. And but at that point, until 1913, they were part of Turkey, and everyone in the family spoke Turkish. And they traveled back and forth depending upon where the work was at the time. So I'm not surprised that we come here and we get baklava and we get other good dishes, or that the session starts late. I recognize all these characteristics. But I have to speak about higher education. There are many general patterns in international higher education now. To cite a few, tremendous growth, tremendous marketization, a lot of privatization, and what I refer to as autonomy accountability. So I'll skip pretty quickly over this stuff. It's all very general. But I'll also make a few remarks about Turkey. First, I'll talk about autonomy, accountability, and then about privatization, and I'll leave all the rest aside. As probably many of you know, the historical tradition in most of the world, certainly including Europe, in higher education was one of fairly standard systems. That is, there was a national ministry, there was a national law, there were national rules, there was a lot of standardization, often with similar curriculum and similar graduation standards. The rules were laid out. The individual institution did not make many decisions on its own. Now that's in a process of changing at one speed or another, pretty much throughout the world. And we can refer to what's replacing it, partly of course, not completely at once, as a new contract between government and institution, or government and university. And the new contract is really about the institution getting more autonomy, but with greater demands for accountability. The autonomy is meant to provide more choice in the system. Because if each institution is making some of its own decisions, the institutions will make some different decisions, and they will be different. And so when students come to the point of going to higher education, they can choose among some alternatives. The same for faculty, the same for donors. With this choice, rather than standardization, there's an increase in differentiation. One institution looks less similar than it used to the next institution. And there's more competition. Why? Because in the past, there were central rules that all the institutions had to follow. But now, instead of that, if you're running an institution, you can go this way or you can go that way. Or you can go the same way, but you're still competing because you're not guaranteed a position or survival. With that comes accountability, and of course there's some accountability to government, but in the new contract, there's a lot of accountability by the institution to its marketplace, to students, to different kinds of providers. They're accountable for performance. It's less and less common to just survive in a bureaucratic system in which you follow the rules and there's no great difference in performance and you're not held accountable for what results. Now you sink or swim, or you thrive or you stagnate, largely on the basis of what you do. Now what I've just said, I think could be said historically of the United States. The United States does not come out of that European tradition, and it has quite a different, if not opposite, tradition, which grew from the bottom up, with colleges making their own decisions. Only later did government become at all prominent, but clearly in recent years, we've been moving more to increase the autonomy of institutions. This news may not have reached SUNY yet, but other than that, the US pattern has, in my view, intensified. That there's a lot riding on the institutions to act very dynamically to make their own way. Now, I don't know about the autonomy accountability relationship in Turkey and how it might be changing, but I would love to learn from you.